Summer of 42. Watch a young boy trying to slide into the bed of a married woman. Will he get to sleep with her? Watch what happens next. The film opens on the picturesque island of Nantucket, where three adventurous kids, Hermie, Asi, and Benji, roam freely. Known as the Terrible Trio, they stumble upon a nearby house and are captivated by a woman chopping wood. Hermie, our protagonist, feels an inexplicable connection to her. The woman is accompanied by her husband, and they share joyful moments together. As the couple retreats into their house, the trio watches them, intrigued by their interaction. The trio explores the beach, observing playful couples. Asi desires physical contact, but Hermie advises talking first. They discuss relationships, flipping through a book on lovemaking. Curiosity and apprehension fill their conversations. Asi's longing for intimacy persists. The following day, near the shore, the trio observes the same woman with her husband, but this time they appear distressed as he prepares to leave for war. The film is set during World War II, when all able-bodied men were required to join the fight. As the couple shares a passionate farewell kiss, Hermie realizes that his infatuation will now be alone. Hermie gazes at her longingly, witnessing her bidding farewell to her husband. Hermie discreetly examines the woman's undergarments while his friends play nearby. Later, on the beach, they tease Hermie about approaching her, claiming she's too old for him. Reluctantly, he approaches, but their inappropriate remarks cause him to retreat, embarrassed. An argument ensues, leaving Hermie with a bloody nose. The next morning, as Hermie rushes out of his house, a woman inside asks him where he is going. Irritated, Hermie responds brusquely. She instructs him to pick up a newspaper on his way, and as he does, he spots the woman carrying heavy grocery bags. Sensing an opportunity, Hermie offers to help and accompanies her home. Her name is Dorothy. Hermie and Dorothy engage in conversation, discussing their lives. When Hermie's friends pass by, he hides his face behind the bags, but they still recognize him. After leaving the groceries in the kitchen, Hermie joins Dorothy for coffee. They talk about their interests and Hermie playfully burns his tongue. Dorothy apologizes repeatedly. After Hermie leaves, his friends confront him, eager to know if anything happened between him and Dorothy. Hermie insists that nothing occurred, but his friends remain skeptical. Hermie grows frustrated and angrily returns home, leaving his friends more excited than him. That night, the trio meets some girls at the movie theater, thanks to Asi's efforts. Asi sets up Hermie and Benji with 3 girls, but Benji becomes nervous and runs away. While waiting in line, Hermie encounters Dorothy, who invites him over for assistance. Hermie accepts, suggesting they have another cup of coffee. Hermie and Asi enter the theater with the girls. During the movie, Asi tries to make advances on his date, but she becomes angry. Hermie, however, places his hand on his partner's shoulder, and she accepts his touch. Asi's attempts escalate, leading to a kiss, but the girls leave after the movie ends. Walking home, the best friends discuss their experiences with intimacy. Hermie realizes that what he thought was touching his partner's breast was actually her arm. They laugh about the situation. Later, Hermie visits Dorothy's house to help her again. While waiting for Dorothy, he watches her in a beautiful white dress. Hermie climbs up a storage unit and secretly observes Dorothy as she ascends a ladder, revealing her naked thighs and chest. Despite being distracted by her body, Hermie completes his task, occasionally shaking with arousal. When Dorothy asks about his trembling, Hermie attributes it to the unstable ladder. He recalls her body while finishing the job. Dorothy tries to pay him, but he declines, confessing his fondness for her. Dorothy innocently echoes his sentiment and affectionately kisses his forehead. Speechless, Hermie leaves her house. His friends catch up with him and inquire about the visit. Hermie proudly shows them the lipstick mark on his forehead, but Benji remains skeptical, believing it to be a bite mark. Asi, however, is convinced Hermie is telling the truth. The friends decide to revisit the lovemaking book and meticulously copy its contents. Though they stumble upon unfamiliar terms, they plan to use these pointers when the time comes with a girl. Asi mentions his intentions to apply these lessons with Dorothy, emphasizing the importance of protection. Gathering his courage, Hermie goes to a nearby drugstore to buy a condom. However, feeling self-conscious due to the presence of an older lady, he hesitates and ends up purchasing ice cream instead. Eventually, he musters the courage to ask for protection and manages to buy 3 condoms. Later that night, Hermie and his girlfriend join Asi and his partner at the beach. While Asi and his partner engage in intimate activities, Hermie and his girlfriend enjoy some marshmallows. However, Asi continuously interrupts Hermie, asking to borrow a condom, which frustrates Hermie and disrupts their time together. Unbeknownst to Hermie's girlfriend, she walks in on Asi and his partner in a compromising situation, which disgusts her and prompts her to leave, despite Hermie's efforts to stop her. On another day, Hermie spots Dorothy sitting outside her house and engages her in conversation. Hermie asks if he can visit her again that night, and Dorothy hesitates before agreeing. Hermie suggests they have coffee once more. Dorothy agrees but mentions she must mail some letters and that it's a complicated task. She bids him farewell and leaves. Later, Hermie and Aussie converse, with Aussie expressing his disappointment over his recent breakup due to his partner's medical emergency. However, their conversation soon devolves into a fight. Aussie storms off, and Hermie heads toward Dorothy's house. Hermie knocks on the door, but receives no answer. He cautiously enters, finding a record playing and a cigarette burning on the table. Hermie surveys the room but finds nothing unusual. He stops the record and extinguishes the cigarette, discovering a letter revealing that Dorothy's husband died in the war. Dorothy restarts the record, concealing her tears and pretending to be fine. Hermie remains motionless, unsure of how to react. Dorothy heads to the kitchen, and Hermie follows, apologizing. Dorothy walks toward him and embraces him out of sorrow. They sway together and begin to dance. Dorothy rests her head on Hermie's shoulder, continuing to sob. In a tender and emotional moment, Hermie and Dorothy share a passionate kiss and proceed to the bedroom. They undress, embracing each other closely, as they make love throughout the night. Dorothy, silently grieving, finds solace in Hermie's presence during this intimate encounter. In the following scene, Dorothy awakens and dons a robe before leaving the room. Hermie also gets dressed and prepares to leave. He sees Dorothy outside, smoking and crying. Hesitant to depart, Hermie eventually steps outside. They bid each other goodbye, and Hermie walks away, his heart heavy with sadness. The next morning, Hermie stands alone outside, still burdened by the events of the previous night. Aussie approaches, reading the tension on Hermie's face. Aussie shares details of his girlfriend's recovery from the medical situation, and inquires about Benji. Aussie assumes that Hermie's encounter with Dorothy went poorly, explaining his friend's despondency. Attempting to comfort Hermie, Aussie assures him that he is there to listen. Despite Aussie's efforts to cheer him up, Hermie departs without uttering a word. Aussie watches his friend leave with a sad expression. Hermie returns to the house and stands before the door, contemplating whether to enter. After a moment of hesitation, he moves forward and positions himself in front of the door. He notices a letter with his name stuck to the door and sits down to retrieve it. In the letter, Dorothy bids Hermie farewell and explains that she must leave the island to return to her home. She acknowledges her inability to explain what transpired between them, but expresses hope that Hermie will find fulfillment and remember her fondly. As the film concludes, Hermie narrates the events of his summer on the island. He reflects on his two friends and admits that he lost a part of himself, bidding farewell to Hermie in a unique way, as the movie fades out. If you like this recap, leave a like down below. Peace out till the next glimpse it.